Okay.
Thank you, Tom. My vision is a Maine government that works to bridge the growing social divide, which threatens to tear us apart. My vision is a Maine government that gives all of us a seat at the table, not just those who yell the loudest. My vision is a Maine government that is truly of, by, and for the people. My vision is a Maine government that recognizes that trust is a two-way street. My vision is a Maine government that works for the people, not the other way around. My vision is a Maine government that holds itself accountable, and where good deeds are rewarding and wrongdoing is punished. My vision is a Maine government that abides by the law and does not act as if it is above the law. I'm a seventh-generation Maine native born in Aroostook County. Our family moved to Connecticut for work in the 1950s. At the age of 15, I became the youngest government official in the state of Connecticut after I tried but failed to save a valuable wildlife habitat. As a teenager, I wrote a letter to Maine's Governor Ken Curtis about water pollution in Aroostook County. I received a nice letter back inviting me to visit the State House. Well, it's 50-plus years later, and here I am. I got married at the age of 20 and have 2 grown sons and 6 grandchildren. Working days and going to school nights. I got my first college degree, a Bachelor of Science in Economics, in 1982. I moved back to Maine with my family in 1983, and in 1986 I started working for the state of Maine, first with the Department of Labor and then with the Department of Environmental Protection. I retired in 2016, and I'm a 35-year retiree member of the Maine Service Employees Association. In 1999, I completed a master's degree in public administration at the University of Maine, where I learned how government is supposed to work. You paid for my degree, and I want to put your money to good use as your governor. I am proud to say that I am a lifelong environmentalist and wildlife activist. Maine's environment is Maine's economy, and it is about time that our government recognize the importance to Maine of our environment, our fish and wildlife resources. In addition to my work with the Maine DEP, I've fought for wildlife for more than half a century, and I am best known for my support for natural wolf recovery in the Northeast. I ran for the Maine House in 2016 and for the Maine Senate in 2018. I've tried to work within the system, unsuccessfully, to bring about positive change. It is no wonder that much of the public has given up on government. We must re-engage the public if our democracy is to survive. Unfortunately, government mainly protects itself and its allies, and I have learned that its primary goal is to serve itself. In doing so, its standard operating procedure is to wear people down, to get us to give up and to go away. Anyone who knows me knows that I don't give up and I don't go away. Here are just a few of my experiences with state government. Years ago, I filed a conflict of interest complaint to the legislature against 2 organizations on the Maine Outdoor Heritage Fund Board, and that complaint was dismissed nearly unanimously. More recently, I submitted 3 petitions to the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, and they were voted down unanimously. There's a thread here. This year, I filed a conflict of interest complaint with the Ethics Commission against a legislator, and that complaint was dismissed unanimously. Several years ago, I drafted a bill to reform Maine's Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. It was voted down unanimously. I have filed several lawsuits against IF&W, and those have all been dismissed. Currently, I am pursuing an appeal to the Maine Supreme Court to try to give the public their constitutional right to due process in matters related to wildlife. Maine's government is not broken. It is intentionally rigged to give the appearance that people actually have a say. Like many others, I voted for Janet Mills, hoping that she would rebuild Maine's government after the 8-year-long Paul LePage train wreck. When Janet Mills was running for governor, I asked her what she would do to fix Maine's government. Her answer was simply that she would rely on her commissioners. That's not governing, that's passing the buck. Here are some examples where I differ from Governor Mills and her administration. Governor Mills supports the so-called Clean Energy Corridor, in spite of the fact that its approval was unconstitutional. I oppose it. Hydro is not clean energy, especially when it destroys the environment and the ancestral homes of Indigenous First Nations people, as Hydro-Quebec has done in Canada. Governor Mills supported mandating that hunting, fishing, and trapping be allowed on virtually all land purchased using any public money under Maine's Land for Maine's Future program. I oppose this mandate because it was included in the bond issue as a bribe to gain support from Maine sportsmen. Governor Mills supported taking away our right to vote on the Land for Maine's Future bond issue and instead buried it in the budget. I oppose this because I believe in the people's right to vote. Governor Mills vetoed a ban to ban aerial spraying of herbicides. This spraying is done in huge clear cuts to prevent new growth in favor of a planted monoculture. I support banning aerial spraying of herbicides, and I support banning clear cutting. On the wildlife side, Governor Mills supports Maine's bear feeding program to increase the bear population so they can be killed for so-called sport. I oppose Maine's bear feeding program and efforts by the state to influence public opinion with lies and scare tactics. Governor Mills supports wildlife killing contests. I oppose them. Governor Mills supports trapping. I oppose it because it is cruel and abusive to animals. Governor Mills supports using Maine's freedom of access law to prevent the public's access to public information by charging exorbitant prices for information that is already ours. I support transparent government. For those who may not know, the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife wanted to charge me $90,600 to see its files on wolves in Maine, an animal the state claims doesn't even exist. Governor Mills supports the so-called adaptive moose hunt, in which thousands of moose cows, calves, and unborn will be killed over the next 5 years to simply promote hunting opportunities and to generate $500,000 federal dollars for so-called research. I oppose this slaughter, and I support science-based, ethical fish and wildlife management. Governor Mills supports the virtually unregulated killing of coyotes for sport. I support strict rules and limits on the killing of coyotes. Governor Mills refuses to consider compromise when it comes to protecting right whales from lobster line entanglement. I support looking for compromises that will protect both Maine's lobster industry and right whales. Governor Mills is no friend to wildlife. There are an unlimited number of issues that any governor must deal with. No governor or gubernatorial candidate can know everything about everything, but I do want to mention a few very important issues. Education. I support a strong system of public education. I support providing the monies necessary to pay teachers to keep them in the classroom. Teachers should not have to pay for school supplies out of their own pockets. Regarding the quality of education, we must teach our young people critical thinking skills so that they can think for themselves and be able to discern facts from propaganda. The elderly. My mother was a victim of Maine's elder care system. She had Alzheimer's and was forced to leave a residential facility as her health failed. She went into another facility that provided a poor level of care. There, she failed rapidly and fell numerous times, the last time hard enough to break her nose and her dentures. We removed her from the facility after we were told we could no longer visit her because she was not actively dying. She died 10 days after we brought her home. This kind of experience at a state licensed facility is a disgrace. We can and we must do much more for our elderly and for their families. On taxes, I support progressive tax structures. Those who can afford to pay more should pay more. Tax loopholes and tax breaks for special interests need to be identified and eliminated. our children. There is no excuse for a child dying from other than illness while under the rubric of DHHS. As governor, it will be my goal to not lose a single Maine child to abuse or neglect. The environment. Maine's environmental protection statutes are virtually unenforceable due to their complexity. We must have strong environmental protection laws, and they must be enforced. Mental health. While campaigning for the legislature, I met some wonderful people at the Consumer Council of Maine. I wish some of them were here today. I, too, am a mental health consumer. I've had bouts of anxiety and depression, and I'm one of tens of millions of mental health consumers in the United States. Unfortunately, tens of millions more go untreated. It is long past time to eliminate the stigma of mental illness, and I want to use my own experiences and my candidacy as governor to help and encourage others to get the medical treatment they need. Substance use disorder is a form of mental illness, of which I'm very familiar, all too familiar, because I lost a close family member to this disease. My family member was one of the record-setting 504 drug overdose deaths in Maine in 2020. We must, and we will if I'm governor, increase our emphasis on treatment to try to help those who must also be willing to help themselves. Finally, fish and wildlife. I will work to reform Maine's system of fish and wildlife management and bring it into the 21st century. I will work to end all recreational trapping, to bring balance between consumptive and non-consumptive use, to give all Mainers a seat at the table, to end what is essentially a war on wildlife and on wildlife advocates. And most importantly, I will work to put the resource first. The governor should be a leader, and I will do my best to bring both sides together to find compromises and to work together for our precious fish and wildlife resources. I would now like to tell you my three-pronged plan to reform Maine's government. First, virtually Maine's entire system of state government is dysfunctional, inefficient, and largely ineffective. Unless the systemic problems are identified and solved, government will never function as we need it to. Maine statutes are a mishmash of new ideas tacked onto a mishmash of old ideas, with little or no thought given to the big picture. In order to see and address the big picture, I will appoint a nonpartisan panel of experts, some of the best minds we can find, to examine Maine's Constitution and all of its laws, rules, and programs with much public input. This panel will recommend changes to ensure our government is properly functioning and that we taxpayers are getting the government that we deserve and pay for. This entire process of reform will take years to complete, but we must start somewhere, and there is no better time than the present. Second, I will propose a new internal auditing program to conduct routine, frequent audits of every executive branch, department, and program. These are not financial audits, but rather compliance audits, to ensure that each department and program is in compliance with the Constitution and applicable statutes and rules. The current system is politically driven and is based on reacting to problems instead of preventing them. Management theory dictates the need for effective controls. Those controls are missing from state government. If I become your governor, there will be accountability, and there will be consequences for those who fail to appropriately do the people's work. Third, all of those in the executive branch of Maine government must realize that they work for the people, not the other way around. As governor, I will lead by example to raise the bar. We must change the mindset of state government. We must encourage and reward state employees for speaking up when they see something wrong. While there are many wonderful, dedicated, hardworking state employees, their efforts are often unrecognized and they are often stymied by politics-driven management. In closing, if you want more of the same, vote for someone else. I believe that Maine state government is desperately in need of new leadership. It's time to open up the doors and windows in Augusta to let in some fresh air and fresh ideas. Right now, Maine's government is like a ship taking on water and heading for an iceberg with the captain and crew unwilling or unable to change course. We cannot continue with the same old politically motivated window dressing and platitudes. We cannot continue to make the same mistakes and hope for a different outcome. That is why Maine needs strong, new leadership to take us in a new direction, away from the politics of pandering, catering to special interests, incompetence, and exclusion, and towards a government of professionalism, openness, fairness, inclusion, and accountability. Maine must do better, and we will do better. We have a big hill to climb, but remember that working together, we can and we will move mountains. Thank you very much. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer them. Try. The operative word is try.
I thought there was going to be beer there.
Beer? Just down the road, I think.
Don, I will ask a question.
Absolutely, Don. I'll do my best.
If you, forgive me if this sounds disrespectful, but if you weren't able to persuade the courts on the cases you brought to the courts, state agencies, you weren't able to persuade your people in your area to vote for you for the for the House or Senate, what's changed? How do you think you can convince them to vote for you for governor?
Well, I'm going to say that I live in a pretty regressive rather than progressive district. As you guys can tell, I'm pretty progressive. I like to look forward. I think that if I was in a different district, I may very well have won. In terms of the state actions, the departments, as I told you before, government is there to benefit itself, and we need to change that. And the system is rigged, Don. The system is rigged, period. As far as the courts are concerned, my court actions were filed in Superior Court. The judge ruled that I did not have standing, did not have legal standing to even submit the petition, to not even file in court. I couldn't even make my legal argument on the case, on the substance of the case. The judge said, "You just don't have legal standing. You have no business being here. Go on home." That's wrong. There's such things as due process. I filed one of the dismissals in the Maine State Supreme Court, but I was late in submitting some documentation, so they threw it out. It was a legal technicality. Right now I'm in the process of another appeal, and I am going to dot every I and cross every T, and we will see what the Maine State Supreme Court says. There's never been a court case in Maine through the State Supreme Court dealing with fish and wildlife issues and legal standing with regard to the state's actions on fish and wildlife. There's never been a court case to address that. So this would be, as far as the State Supreme Court goes, it would be precedent setting. And obviously, the state constitution supersedes all statutes. I believe the statute that they use is unconstitutional, and that's the argument that I'm going to make. So as far as running for governor, I'm almost 68 years old, Don, and I see this as an excellent opportunity for me, and perhaps the last opportunity for me, to say what I feel needs to be said, to do what I feel needs to be done. I lost all 4 of my family members within the last 10 years. I'm the last one standing. And the last thing I want to do is to be on my deathbed and regret not having done something. So, win or lose, I'm going to do my best, and as I say, if something's meant to happen, it'll happen. That's it. Yes.
Thank you for your courage and your vision. My question is, how are you going to get your great messages out?
I see this as a nucleus. This is a seed. And I need you guys to preach the message. And I need, obviously, I can't do this myself. We need 3,200 $5 qualifying contributions to even qualify as a clean election candidate. And I am running a clean election campaign. We need a good social media presence. We need a social media specialist. I'm looking for one. We need to go online. We need to set a fire and get young people engaged and involved in not only in this campaign, but in participating in government. They're so turned off, and I can't blame them one bit. And I'm going to try my best to let them know that I can guarantee you I'm not the same old, same old. Charlene can tell you that, and anybody who knows me knows that. Steve knows that. I have new ideas. I have a new vision, and I hope that that people understand that, recognize it, and that we can get enough people together who want to work to make Maine the best it can be. Yes.
And I just want to say, it also, John, there's other areas that are not killing moose. They're experimenting with technology, with training moose, or somehow putting policies through application on them, or trade, vegetation, not insecticide and environmental oil, and things like that. Much like that thing that came out this summer, looking where they were advertising, you could still work within your house, like the corn politics. So there are other areas of other countries that are looking at that, and I think that's what John's coming from.
Yep.
That we need to explore the options before we start killing all these moves. And what that doesn't work out, what it's going to be. That's all.
Val mentioned the so-called adaptive moose hunt, which is being done under the guise of research, but it's actually being done to provide hunter opportunity and to get $500,000 in federal money into the department. The problem with that is it's not science-based. There's absolutely no reason to kill these animals. And they already have the answer to the question that they claim they're looking for. They know that lower moose densities result in lower winter tick densities. So why kill thousands of animals over a 5-year period? Again, simply to provide hunting opportunities. I'm distressed that the state of Maine still bases its fish and wildlife management, so-called management, on politics rather than on science.
And just on hunters, what, 15% of the population? I mean, most of the people who own guns in Maine do not hunt. And yet, they will claim that the money that they get from selling of guns and bullets are contributing to Maine inland fisheries and wildlife, and that's a lie.
Well, we have
myself too, they're going to kill these moose calves just like they do with the fawns. They enter the deer hunt and they kill these offspring. And I said to John, I said, don't they realize how tough it is to do it? The guy said their excuse is that they're just doing studies done. Okay, fine, why don't we do the study? Common sense that we have a fawn, we have a calf, that first winter, the snow and the tile, you know what I mean? It's killing the animals dead. You saw moose, you want to snap,
I do want to emphasize very strongly that I am not anti-hunting. I am for ethical hunting. I am for science-based consumptive use. We need to put the resource first. If we put the resource first, everything will fall into place. Roughly 90% of Mainers don't hunt. And the problem with the system that we have, when I say I want to bring it into I&W into the 21st century, is they still act like they're in the 19th century. The consumptive use folks control the whole system. They don't allow people like me, they don't allow the 90% of us who don't hunt to even have a say. And that's not good government. And if they want the system to fall down around them, they're their own worst enemy. They need to start including everybody in the discussions, and they need to start giving everybody a seat at the table. Yes, hi.
On this morning's National Public Radio, there was a report, I believe it was in that young people, age of your grandson perhaps, is severely depressed about the climate crisis. Oh, crisis, not threat. So I am wondering, John, how are you going to corral this young group, which is so vital, and they're inheriting the mess that we made, to get them to vote for you? How's that going to happen?
When I said I was going to try to answer your questions, that's kind of what I meant. Do I have an answer for you? I don't know. I do know that we need a very strong social media presence, because this is where these kids are. They're online. They're not here. The only kid here today, other than Charlene, is my grandson Hunter. Okay? We've got to find a way. Now I'm trying to, there's a young fellow from the Portland area who was going to be here today. Not here. People are just turned off with government, first of all ages. And in my opinion, justifiably so. So, we just need to work together. The campaign needs a very strong social media person who can, if you like my message, fine. If you don't like my message, fine. But my message is my message. And if we can get that